Never a dull moment in the world of Arsenal Football Club. It's just a shame that it never seems to be for quite the right reasons. This is today's Arsenal Transfer Show special. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is the Arsenal Transfer Show special. Of course, our episodes where we're joined by a fantastic guest. And is there any more fantastic than Mr. Charles Watts himself? How you doing, man? You good? You well?
I'm good, mate. As I said the other day, I've missed you, and you didn't believe me. You didn't believe me the other day. I was there pouring my heart out to you in the comments, and you not believing it was me.
Well, can you blame me? I don't think you've ever said those words in your entire life. So I think I was completely entitled to have some level of skepticism. We're going to miss Kai Havertz, though, Charles. That's who we are going to miss. But
we are going to miss Kai Havertz.
How are you? Are you good? You well?
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. I've hacked my way around a golf course today. Come off it feeling genuinely as annoyed as I do when I play badly on a golf course, and then immediately being greeted by the news that Kai Havertz has picked up an injury. So, yeah, I'm all right, but I've had better days.
So tell me what you scored. Come on, reveal it.
90, I think. No, it was more than that. I played terribly, Tom.
If it's sub 100, it was a good day at the office.
It was definitely sub 1. It was definitely sub 100, but it wasn't a good day at the office. I was hacking it around all over the shop. 98 it was, but yeah, it wasn't good.
Well, you need to get out there more. That's what I say. It's a horrible sport because you need to play all the time to be good. And I just rarely get the opportunity to go out enough these days, and you need to be playing all the time. And yeah, it's a shame. But less about our golfing inabilities and more about Arsenal. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody joining us in the chat box. Of course, thank you so much, as always, for doing so. So, give me your raw reaction, mate.
Well, it's not a good one, mate. I wasn't too happy. Again, I got the message from Simon Collins as I was walking off the golf course, and I got a message from him, flashed up David Ornstein's tweet, and I was like, "Oh, what? This could be some interesting transfer news. Let's see what that is." And I opened it up, and it was just like, "Oh, you are absolutely kidding me." Yeah, it's just a nightmare. It really, really is. I mean, we don't know yet how bad it is, obviously. The pessimist in me, and again, this isn't based on any information we've got yet because Arsenal keeping things pretty close to their chest. But the pessimist in me is sort of reading the situation, reading the vibes, and I'm definitely worried about what we're going to hear. Yeah. But the hope is obviously it's not too bad. They get some good news, and we're all worrying about nothing. But yeah, raw reaction is just really, really disappointed and concerned, and just here we go again.
Yeah. I'm very much the same. I just looked at my phone and I was like, because, David's brilliant at getting scoops. And sometimes, we don't tend to kind of get the heads up. We might get some inklings about things, but until we've kind of double, triple sourced them and whatever, we won't commit to them until we've got that. But David's so good at getting these scoops that just looking at my phone and it just buzzed. And I was like, oh, okay. It's going to be one of those seasons again. Great. Fantastic. And he finished the game against United and there was just absolutely no inkling at all that this happened. No one kind of thought anything regarding this or that this. But I guess the same was kind of when he got injured last time, on that tour when they were in, was it Dubai? I think on the training camp. And that just came out of absolutely nowhere. The difference between this time and that time is that when that happened, the window in January just closed. This time, there is still time left in the window. David Ornstein's reporting that Arsenal are now exploring potential alternatives. Whether that leads to anything obviously remains to be seen. But is it for you an absolute necessity that Arsenal have to go and sign someone now?
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, again, it depends on what news we get on Havertz. If we suddenly find out that it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's back after the international break, then obviously it changes things. But if it is anything significant, which again, the feeling is that it probably is, then yes, they absolutely do. I mean, you're one Victor Gyökeres injury away from basically having Mikel Merino up front again. And this time it's at the start of the season when there's so much resting on this season for Arsenal and for Mikel Arteta and everyone. We were already under so much scrutiny. Every drop point is going to be massively scrutinised and criticised. We know the knives are out for Arsenal this season, and you've got to protect yourselves. We saw that, if you can't learn from the errors that you made in January when they didn't react to the Jesus injury, They left themselves short. They took a risk, and then within a couple of days of the window closing, Havertz had gone down, and that was it. If you do the same thing again this summer at the start of the season, then I just don't know. There are no excuses for it. Really, they've got to go out and protect themselves and sign someone, whether that's a striker, whether that's a winger, and then you basically say to Leandro Trossard, right, you are you're the backup number 9 for this next 6 months of the season, and you go out and sign another winger. I don't know yet. I haven't really decided in my head what the best course of action would be, but they've got to do something.
Yeah.
Before the injury, again, I felt like they were still one short in attack, and now with the injury, that I feel like we're back in January. I'm saying exactly the same things that I was saying in January, and I just believe we're here again.
I might just re-upload that episode I did back there tomorrow morning. Have the morning off.
I can't believe we're back here, mate. I really, really can't. It's just, you felt like at the end of last season, it's like, right, put last season to bed, put a pin in it. Surely the football gods are going to smile on us a little bit more last season because of what we had to do this season, because of what we had to endure. But oh no, straight we have one game. We played one game, and he only played 20 minutes of it.
Yeah. I don't want to doom and gloom about it, and I don't want to kind of speak prematurely, but the way in which it's kind of gone, I think my headspace is going to be, my therapist would tell me, don't always catastrophize, Tom. Don't always go worst case scenario. But it's impossible in this situation to not feel like you have to kind of prepare yourself for the worst in this situation. And, if you expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed whatever happens, because losing.
I tell you what, mate. If it's 3 months, I'm going to be happy because of what I've got in my head now. What I've got in my head now, again, it's just a pessimist, and it's like scar tissue, I think, from previous seasons. But if I find out that he's only out for 3 months, I'm going to be I'm certainly going to be relieved, and I'm going to be relatively happy because I've already preconditioned myself to the worst here. And again, that's not based on any information because I just don't have it yet. And Arsenal are keeping things very close to their chest today. And I'm not sure yet that they know. I'm sure they've got a better idea of what things are. They're not saying, but they are waiting to find out the full extent of things. But just the vibes and the way it's been framed, it doesn't sound great. So yeah, if it's 3 months, I'm going to be pleasantly surprised and relieved, I have to say.
Yeah, I agree. If you offered me 3 months out, I'd take it now because that would mean it's not.
But I still think they'd have to do something if it's 3 months. I still think.
I agree. Because there's just too much football. We've got too tough a start. We've been given these first 6 games that are incredibly difficult as well that we've got to try and deal with. And now we've lost the guy that was effectively, if Gyökeres, he was the guy that gave us kind of a safety net with Gyökeres' integration and adaptation and transition into the Arsenal team. We've lost that safety net now. We can't just take Gyökeres off if he isn't necessarily, hitting the ground running. We haven't got that player other than, say, a Trossard or a Marino, as you pointed out. But it's absolutely gutted. So the mind then goes, how do you approach this in the market? Because there's kind of a division. There's some people that say you should go out and get a like-for-like replacement if that's a loan for a player. And then I think it was the Telegraph or the Times that have been suggesting that Arsenal are going to look first for kind of loans and potential bargains because they are under pressure.
Matt Law in the Telegraph, right there.
Matt Law reporting that now, and I just think that. I mean, there's some freedom to spend, and I thought Arsenal in some cases would have been smart enough to recognise that a situation like this can happen, so you don't have to just scrounge for the loans and the bargains. If it is just a loan that comes in, do you think that something's gone wrong from a kind of prepared standpoint for this type of thing?
Again, it depends on the injury. If it is a 3-monther, then I think a loan. I could be more okay with it than if it's a sort of 9-month type thing. But if it's 3 months, you and he's back, then suddenly you get to December, you've brought another player in on a permanent. You've signed Gyökeres for 64. Havertz comes back, Jesus comes back, and then you've got another person you just signed for 40, 50 million. It's something like, how does that all fit? So, I think they have to. There's a squad building sort of thought process here in terms of the replacement as well. If it's 3 months, but the only thing is with a loan, it's like who do you get? And I mean, it is. I'm sitting here saying they've got to do something. They've got to do something. It's obviously can't click your fingers. It's not that easy. They've got to go out to the market. A market that now knows Arsenal are potentially looking for a forward. So it's not going to be an easy situation for them. I think I'd rather a permanent, than a loan, just because I think you get a better player, which is one thing. I'm just not sure in my head, and I don't know about you, about what the best sort of attack is on this. Do you go the winger route
Yeah,
And like
I
I
do.
said, play Trossard, or do you go another striker route? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think you go the versatile attacking player route because, as you said, you've got, Havertz potentially. We don't know, but he could potentially be coming back midway through the season. You've got Jesus coming back for midway through the season. And I don't see a centre forward really on the market that you go and invest money that if we're being brutally honest, we probably should be investing anyway, regardless of this injury, in another wide attacking player.
Yeah.
Before this injury, all of our talks were about signing that third attacking wide left forward. I think there are options. You could argue that now I see a lot of people saying hijack the Eze deal, in the chat box right now. That's why I wrote a piece on the 3 potential alternatives that we could do. Eze was one of them. You basically say to Trossard, you're going to be a more central player for us. You're going to come on and play a central role when we bring in Eze. You look to the Rodrigo route, which is, again, left out completely of Real Madrid's game the other day. I think against Osasuna, I think it was. He is not in Xabi Alonso's plans. If you could potentially work a loan deal with Real Madrid with either an option or just a dry loan and say, like we did with Ødegaard, for 6 months, we have a good relationship with them transfer-wise. I know every time we go and talk to them, they always try and do the whole Saliba thing, but we can, stand firm on that. And then the other one was Ademola Lookman, to me, who's still on the market right now, who's a wide left player who can play very comfortably through the middle as well, and is available for around 40 to 45 million pounds. So they're kind of where I'm looking. I'm looking at that wide, versatile profile of player.
Yeah. I mean, the Rodrigo one's interesting. I still feel, like you said, he's completely left out. I still feel like there's something, not necessarily with Arsenal, but I still feel like there's something that could potentially happen with Rodrigo this window because he can't be happy 100%. With the situation. He can't be happy with it. And there's been no indication since Alonso's come in, since pre-season happened, since the season starts, all that sort of stuff, that he's going to get any minutes or, for Madrid, barring any sort of injuries for them. It does feel like there could be a very late, Mesut Ozil type opportunity where it's Madrid is suddenly like, okay, we've spent a load of money this summer, we need to balance the books. He is there. Let's put the feelers out, and maybe that is a route that Arsenal could go down, like you said, and agree some sort of loan deal for him. I love Eze. I've wanted him all summer. I've been banging the drum for him all summer. I hate the fact that he's going to Spurs.
Yeah,
but Arsenal clearly view Eze as a central player. I think
clearly.
As soon as Ethan signed his contract, that was we know that their interest cooled in Eze. The interest was there while there was a little bit of jeopardy going on with Ethan, and then as soon as Ethan signed, the interest cooled, and it hasn't been revisited yet. So they clearly see him more as a central player. So I'd be very surprised if we suddenly saw a hijack, as much as I would love it. And Morgan Rogers, we've seen linked. He's again, I see him more as a central player, but he can play on the left. He can play up front as well as a false nine. Who'd be really, really expensive.
I got kind of, when I raised that to a contact of mine, it was a bit like, I mean, kind of speculatory.
I don't think Aston Villa are very keen at all to do any sort of business, which is understandable as well. I think there's potential contract talks going on there as well. I keep coming back to the Rodrigo one and just thinking of all and I know it's going to be an expensive deal to do, but I keep coming back to him and think if that feels possible. Again, not based on information, although we know that there is interest. No. But it feels like there is a chance there to get him out of Madrid. And if this just prompts them to do that, and if Madrid can agree to some sort of, like you said, loan deal potentially with an option, could that be a route for Arsenal to go down? And, it'd be a hell of a signing, a hell of an exciting signing as well. And it certainly lift the mood after this injury.
I think they'd be mad to not try and just put the feelers out on the Rodrigo side. I personally, I'm not like, I don't think he's as good as a lot of people say he is. I think he's been quite overrated this summer in how people have spoken. I don't see him as like the guy that turns Arsenal from title pretenders into title winners. I don't see him being that transformative, but he certainly improves on what we've got, and I think that a player that's just not getting a look in, that has a club like Arsenal saying, we'll offer you
in a World Cup year.
In a World Cup year, playing, in a team where you're playing potentially instead of somebody else who could also be in competition with you for a place in the squad in Martinelli. If you can beat him out of that kind of starting position, then you're putting yourself as a shoe-in for the Brazil squad, for next season. If he's not going to play for Real Madrid, we know the way Ancelotti works. If a player's not playing, and he might still favour him because, of course, he played for Ancelotti, at Real Madrid. But still, I look at that scenario and just think there's just too big of an opportunity. If Rodrigo ends up not moving this window, like I'd be very surprised if he doesn't move based upon what's happening there. So yeah, I don't really know how much more there is to kind of discuss around Havertz. We all agree that something needs to happen. They have to sign a player. They have to do something. I guess I'll just end it with a prediction, Charles, and just a simple yes or no. Do you think they will?
God. Yes,
yes,
I do. Because I don't see how they can't. I mean, I just don't see how they can seriously.
In January, though, mate. So,
yeah, no, exactly. That's why I laughed, because I said exactly the same thing. But if they want to win the Champions League, or they want to win the Premier League this season, which they clearly do, and they know the outside pressure on them, I don't see how they can't sign anyone if it's as bad as we are fearing it might be. Again, if it's only a 3-week thing and he's back after the international break, then no, I don't think they will. But if it's a 3-4 month or worse thing, then I think they will.
Yeah. Like history just kind of tells me that I feel like I should say no. And that sucks. And I will be gutted.
You've got to take Gyökeres into this as well account, because he needs to be eased in. As much as I know he's a big money signing, you've got to ease him in a little bit, Danny. And now suddenly it's all going to be on him. It's all going to be on him. If he plays badly, he can't be taken out the side, really. For these big games. I fully thought Havertz would start at Anfield next week, whatever happened this weekend against Leeds. I really, really did. And now you don't have that opportunity to do that. If he's having a bad time, he's struggling, unless you're going to play Marino ahead of him, he's going to be playing pretty much every single game now. And, you've got Champions League, you've got the intensity of the Premier League, a really difficult start in a season where Arsenal have to win, basically, or everyone's going to say that the house is burning down. So it doesn't feel right on him to put that on his shoulders as well. So I think there's a duty for him and the squad and for everyone to give themselves the best possible chance. You've got to learn the lessons from January. You've got to, surely. I'm loving the Arsenal fans that somehow have convinced themselves that Isak's now possible. That is very amusing. Find 150 million down the sofa somewhere. I would be very, very surprised.
Let me put you this question that I asked. I put on Twitter about this, kind of like, do you see the strike action of Gyökeres, which forced through his move to Arsenal, any different to the Isak one?
No, it's exactly the same.
You think it's exactly the same?
Yeah.
Because the volume of responses I got felt that because there was an agreement that he could go, and that was kind of in the public domain around, even the president came out and said, we agreed that he would leave below the release clause, but not for that 60 plus 10. But there is no kind of public knowledge that Newcastle agreed it, even though Isak said there's been broken promises that makes it slightly different. But I think that is a difference.
It's exactly the same. It is. And we're seeing it too much now. We're seeing it with Vista as well. I know Newcastle fans are complaining about it, but they're trying to take advantage of the exact same situation with Vista at Brentford as well. So
Liverpool complained about Trent. It's just fickleness at the end of the day. I think when it comes to kind of I would be pleased, not just because of him not going Liverpool, but I'd be pleased if Newcastle held on to him, just because I think we need an example of a club holding on to a very high value asset and just saying, no, you're under contract and we don't want to sell you and you have to play. I would appreciate that. We've got around 10 minutes left of the show. We'll probably have a couple of questions from the chat box as well. But just before we get a couple of those thoughts, how did you feel about our opening day win over Man United? I don't think it went the way a lot of people thought it might have gone, even if the outcome was what we hoped it would be.
I loved it. I mean, look, the performance wasn't great, obviously. And watching the game, I wasn't at Old Trafford. I was watching it at my dad's house, and I was throwing things across the room every time we kept giving away possession and playing as sloppily as we did. But 3 points at Old Trafford opening day of the season, I would literally take that and run every single day of the week. I don't care how you offered it to me. So I think it was a fantastic result. Performance-wise, obviously, have to improve, and I absolutely think they will improve, and we'll see a different Arsenal team against Leeds this weekend. Sunday was all about winning. That's a really tough start. Going to United, going to Trafford, where we're terrible at and have been for years. They were up for it. They had the new signings on show. The crowd was up. It's a really difficult game. To come away with a 1-0 win, it's a fantastic result. It really, really is. So, no, I was delighted. Obviously, we've got to improve the way we attack and take advantage of the situations that we had there far better in the coming weeks. But no, just on the face of it, brilliant result.
It was a brilliant result, and I still found myself getting frustrated with how much negativity there still was around it after full time. I rewatched a lot of the game because I find myself when I'm in the ground, you miss so much, especially when you're writing so much, throughout. I thought the performance of Zubimendi was unbelievable, really, in the end. I overlooked a lot of what he did. We did like 12 turnovers and 12 counterattacks that led to 0, really. We didn't really make, much of any of those chances, but he was involved in pretty much at least half of the turnovers that we had in the game. And he wasn't well during the week. He was ill during the week, and it was kind of touch and go whether he was going to be involved. And he didn't train until the last day or two of that week, and still managed to play the full 90 in the end because Norgard, of course, is still not fit, and he's missing as well and wasn't involved in the training session today either. Neither was Ben White, by the way. He also missed the session today. So that's a bit of a frustration and a worry. But Jurian Timber, of course, is there, and that's why we've got that depth. But let's while we've got a few minutes remaining, let's tackle some of these comments that are coming in. There's always some funny ones. But Andy says the Liverpool offer might just not be good because it's way late after the striker has moved, hence why 140 million instead of 120 million. He waited till everybody moved on. I mean, do you see an issue with like how late it seemed Isak kind of made that call to go public with all of this?
It was weird. The timing was weird. Just after Ekitike signs, Arsenal would sign Gyökeres. It was kind of like he left it very, very late in the window to use the sort of tactics that he used. If I was Isak, I'm not sure I'd be too happy with my agent in the way that this has all materialised this summer.
The missus has set off the car alarm outside. Can you hear it?
I can hear it. Yeah, I can. So yeah, no, I thought it was odd, and I don't think he's done himself any favours at all in terms of how he's viewed. I think it's just going to be a sort of cloud hanging over Isak, I think, for a good while yet. Now, even if this move does go through in terms of how I cannot wait, by the way, for Newcastle versus Liverpool on Monday night at St James's Park, 8 p.m. kickoff on a bank holiday. Is going to be feisty. Liverpool are going to have to be very, very prepared for a hell of an atmosphere. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
I'm on mute. There we go. It's stopped now. It is going to be a lot of fun, as well as the Nottingham Forest Crystal Palace game as well. That's going to be an exciting.
Is that this weekend?
I think so. I think it's this weekend. Let's have a quick check. 24th of August, Sunday, 2:00
Nice.
kickoff. That should be fun. That's at Palace as well. A lot of fun. Interesting to see what happens with Eze as well. Did you see Gary Cottrell's latest antics at the?
I did. Yes, I did. Gary.
Yeah, good old Gary. Once again, involved in the drama. Dragan says, do you think Barcola is realistic? I'm going to say no. But
no, I'm going to say no on that. I can't see it. I think that's too expensive to do. Although saying that, I've just been talking about Rodrigo, but no, doesn't strike me as one that I would expect to happen.
And we kind of answered this one as well from P. Shups' hand on heart. What do you think we'll do? I said no. Charles said yeah. So let's take that as 50-50 from both of us, if you like. Rancid Pumpkin says it's Nketiah or Sterling.
Yes, Mark, who a friend of both of us, Mark Shatliff, yes. He sent me a picture of Raheem about an hour ago, just with the quote of you're going to see the best of me, and it's like, oh my god. No, not again. If they go, can you imagine a reaction if they do go genuinely for like a Nico Jackson or even a Nkunku?
It's not even beyond the realms of possibility because it could happen. Like it's such an Arsenal thing to do.
I don't think they could. I genuinely don't. Even if they really wanted to, I don't think they could. I think they would have to take into consideration the reaction it would cause. I'm not sure they could do it, even if they wanted to.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely in agreement with you. A few of you are kind of asking around the loan situation. Like Nkunku on loan, of course, another Chelsea player as well. And Tom says PSG want Asensio off their books, and he was good in the Premier League for Villa last year. Should we go for a loan deal for him?
I was talking about this to Sai not long ago, and I was like, where is Asensio? Is he back at PSG? And he is. He did do well at Villa. He didn't start that often for Villa, did he? I always used him off the bench. 3
goals in 13 games.
But he did do well, and he showed he can do it in the Premier League. So, I mean, that could be an option for if we're talking loans to sort of improve things. That could be, a 6-month loan deal for Asensio. I wouldn't say that dreadful, given on what we, the evidence that we saw what he did at Aston Villa last season. Clearly he can make a difference in games in this league. We saw it. So I wouldn't be absolutely against that if we're talking loans, but he wouldn't be at the top of my list.
Last one, Jamie Vardy.
I was just about to say, what about Jamie Vardy, mate? He's on the lookout for a club. What year? How long ago was it when he nearly signed for Arsenal? It must have been
that was what, 2018, was it?
Yeah, must have been about that when he was at Colney.
Two after. Was he at Colney? Yeah,
he was at Colney. He had him meeting. Yeah, Wenger, when he left, Wenger thought he'd signed him, and then on the way leaving, driving back to wherever, Leicester, whatever it was, his agent rang Arsenal and said he's not coming. He doesn't want to do it. Wow. But when he left the training ground, Dick Law and Arsene Wenger thought they'd signed him.
Wow, that is, of course, I reckon you can probably go and watch. I still need to catch up on your Dick Law conversation. So was that included in that chat?
Not in that one, no, but I have spoken to Dick before about it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's some crazy stories, of course. Charles, before you head off, make sure you shout people out where they can find your stuff, what you got coming up, what you have been doing, of course, with the big drive on the old Patreon.
Yes, that's been going well. Memberships to Inside Arsenal, get the exclusive extra content, all that sort of stuff. So that's good. We've got a good community sort of beginning to thrive over there on Patreon. The Discord chat has been absolutely popping off today with the news, obviously. So that's fun. Yeah. Obviously, that's all my regular Inside Arsenal content on YouTube, all ad free, but then extra content as well, like the Arsenal Press Pass show, which I do each week, which I'm going to be getting you on sometime very soon, Tom. With myself, Sam from the Telegraph, Si from the Standard, and guests as well, and other things. Got an FPL league starting up, and there's going to be an FPL show for members as well, starting very, very soon. My Arsenal Life, which is where the Dick Law interview came from, that's going to be a sort of in-depth interview feature that I'm going to be doing on there as well. So plenty to get stuck into if you become a member. But if not, you can find me on YouTube and you get all your content free as well. Just have those pesky little ads to watch and all that sort of stuff.
There you go, people. Make sure you go and check it out. Plenty of really awesome content over there, as always. I am myself a Patreon member. I give this guy a cup of coffee a month. You believe it or not? Unbelievable, really. Still only for that Turkish dinner, by the way, that we had. But less said about that, the better. But
no, I don't. That's scandalous. That's scandalous. I paid you for that.
I'm messing. I was part of me that was like, I thought I just offered to pay, but then maybe they did. Maybe Harry and you did.
I paid you the next day. I WhatsApped you the next day. Scandalous accusation.
Thieving Charles in the chat box. Let's get it going. There was one just before 30 seconds to go. There was a comment. Where's it gone? Oh, it was actually quite relevant. I can't see it. Oh, here it is from Sophie. Does Kai's injury elevate Max Dowman playing a few games this season?
Well, it might. Again, if we're talking moving Trossard over to just be the sort of 9, then you can maybe have, okay, this is what we're going to do. If it's how we're going to get through it. Trossard and Victor as the 9s, Noni and Martinelli as the left wing options, and then Dowman and Saka as the right wing options. Maybe that is what they end up doing. Again, it kind of depends on the length of time. I mean, it's a big ask though, saying, okay, this 15-year-old kid is going to be the answer, but he's not a normal 15-year-old kid. I think we all know that. We can all see that. And I think he'll play anyway, to be honest, even before this injury. But maybe this will give us the opportunity to see a little bit more than him. And he's already shown he can make a difference. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. So maybe it does elevate him a little bit. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. Andy says annual live stream dinner once the transfer window closes. We'll make it happen. That'll be our Patreon gifts for you. Charles, thank you for your time, mate. Really appreciate it, pal.
Cheers, mate. Miss you.
Indeed. Likewise. Are you going any press games or conferences soon?
No. Well, it's school holidays at the moment, so Friday is a nightmare. I've got the kids, so I can't do Friday presses until the kids go back to school in a couple of weeks. And I'm at the game on Saturday, but I'm in my seat. Yeah. I'm going to be in. I can't wait. I'm going to head up early for the Spurs City game at 12:30 with Mark, and all day before the 5:30 kickoff. So I don't think I'm going to be in the state where I'd want to be seen in the press box.
I'll try and pop in if you're in the Tolly beforehand. So should be fun. Should be fun. Enjoy the rest of your evening, mornings, afternoons, wherever you happen to be in the world, people. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Go and check out Charles Watts' channel, of course, himself and his Patreon too. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. for more meltdown about Kai. So tune in for that. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy, respectful, and as always, up the Arsenal.